Yes, now people, there's Rocksteady, King of the Pit TV, signing in. We just listened to Flipper for the very first time in my life. I've come across this band from time to time, referenced through, hardcore punk adjacent conversation and information. This band's popped up from time to time. Flipper, this band is entitled, this record is entitled Album, and I assume on this record they were going by the title of a generic Flipper. For what purpose, you tell me. It was recommended on the Patreon by my good friend Gary. Thank you very much, Gary. I really do appreciate that. And with that being said, we had 9 tracks on this record. A little longer than what you first think when you have a look at the track listings initially. We got a couple of tunes on here. One 8 minutes 35 and another one at it's just verging on 8 minutes to finish the record off. This bunch were jamming out on this record. This bunch were jamming out. This was definitely a jam band as opposed to write a record over time, go home, practice it, go home, write more to it, and then keep bringing ideas back to practice. These dudes just, I reckon it's the bassist. I reckon the bassist comes up with a riff, the drummer joins in, the guitarist just makes a racket over the top, and then the main sort of writing is down to the front man who sort of has to compose lyrical content. I think that's the most heavy duty composition that this band has to implement in their sound. It was good. It was a good album. It was an interesting album, and it's an album that it's interesting really because you got your kids at one side who would like it just for the noise factor and the fact it's just a cool band. Then as you get into the middle, as you start to experience more music, you probably look at this and think, what the hell's going on? This is crap in comparison to actual musicians and the craft people can create. And then when you listen to so much music, you return back to your primitive state, but at the other side of the spectrum, and you can appreciate this for what this is and go back to them childlike roots and feel the expression and the experimentation and the lack of care within reason in relation to, the general consensus of what music should be and what it should sound like. It's punk rock, but beyond punk rock, I think this is rock and roll. I think it's a rock and roll record. Each and every song is essentially just an idea off of one riff, one 4-bar phrase. The bass line will play, and then we'll just cycle it over and over and over again. Surprising amount of hooks. There is a main vocal idea in the majority of these songs that you can sing along to that gets stuck in your head due to the repetition, verging on a hypnotic sort of degree of repetition, and that's pretty good. The guitar is unlike most guitars I've heard before because for the most part you just don't know what's going on. It's just big wall of just power, just this crazy coating of sound, this overt, distorted wonderland, which does not go off. It does not create dissonance in the music. It's completely sensical. You just can't really grasp onto what's going on. It's this big just wall of sound, and I like it a lot. And the melody, as far as the instrumental is concerned, or at least the riffing, comes from the bass line. You can hear the bass line with clarity. Somewhat distorted itself in some of the tracks. Drumming, it does the job. It gets the job done. Not a great drummer, but a good enough drummer. But a few good fills, to be honest with you. A few good fills. Vocal performance, almost like spoken word. A few harsher vocals from time to time, but not necessarily harsh. More like a rock and roll shout from time to time. Doesn't necessarily stay within that tone. I'm not going to rate this record because I don't want to do that. I don't think a record like this needs to be rated because it will most definitely be each to their own. And every album is, but I don't think a band like this needs to be rated. I don't think an album like this needs to be rated out of 10. I think that's nonsensical. Pretty good. Yeah, I enjoyed the experience. And I wonder if this was a one-off as far as the sound is concerned for Flipper, or whether this is sort of like how they sounded across the board, I might do another video. It depends if I can find a Wikipedia page on this record, so we can discuss some interesting stuff regarding this band around this particular time. Let's see if we can find one. But if not, I'm going to sign out here and say peace, one love, people. I'll see you on the flip side.